Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
History books tell us that Abraham Lincoln was born in Kentucky, right? Well, not so fast. There are some folks in the town of Bostic that beg to differ. Jeff Klein recently traveled to this small town in Rutherford County and came back with a big story.
Read most any history book, and it will tell you that Abe Lincoln was born not in North Carolina, but in Kentucky. So why would Keith Price believe otherwise?
Your textbooks may not mention Lincoln having been born in Bostic on Puzzle Creek. They might even say he was born in Kentucky. It may take time for them to correct that.
At a former railroad depot, now a museum, the answer awaits. You can come to the Bostic Lincoln Center, which opened in 2008, to learn about the legend that Lincoln was born a North Carolinian.
This is one of the most hidden stories of history.
A story that just might be true.
If they can prove us wrong, we'll shut up and go home.
And you can top it off with a visit to Lincoln Hill, the site that someday may be recognized as his real birthplace.
It would be a great day in the history of North Carolina.
The Bostic Lincoln Center isn't your typical museum. Not many museums have a dog like Sadie to welcome visitors.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
And not many take on a story this controversial. This tale is as alive today in Bostic as it was when it happened 200 years ago. It involves an older man and a younger woman. You can see where this is headed. In the early 1800s, Abraham Enlow had moved his wife and 16 children from Bostic to a large farm in Swain County. It was a peaceful life. But when their household servant, a young orphan girl named Nancy Hanks, became pregnant, the tranquility ended.
Sarah Enlow seemed to be convinced that it was indeed Abraham Enlow who was the father.
And her presence was no longer welcomed by Mrs. Enlow.
His wife says, you got to get this girl out of here.
And that required her being sent back to another property that Abraham Enlow owned.
Near Puzzle Creek in Bostic, little remains today of the house where Nancy was banished. But here, in the original Enlow home, Nancy gave birth to a son she named Abraham. As a way out of this untenable situation, Abraham Enlow helped find a suitable bachelor named Tom Lincoln and paid him child support. A move away from the area was arranged.
Tom and Nancy were married later in Kentucky.
With the child as part of the entourage.
The child took the family name of his stepfather, and away from Bostic, the couple raised him as their own.
And that child was Abraham Lincoln.
And that would place the date of his birth prior to Tom and Nancy's marriage in June 1806. You'll learn here that this story has been handed down through generations.
Everybody up there says that he's born somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina.
No birth certificate exists for Abraham Lincoln, but you'll see long-lost books saying he was born before his official birth date in 1809. As Lydia Klontz explains.
So these are hard to find and they're rather valuable and they're rare.
This mystery followed Lincoln his entire life. Consider the account of Colonel Thomas Davis, who grew up with Lincoln in Kentucky and who told a historian in 1883.
It was generally understood, without question, in that neighborhood that Lincoln, the man that married the president's mother, was not the father of the president, but that his real name was Enlow.
After seeing the exhibits, it's only a few minutes' drive from the Bostic Lincoln Center to what's now called Lincoln Hill, the place near Puzzle Creek where Nancy gave birth to her son. A marker was erected years ago.
It says 1806. They've got the markers where he was born, and it's just a part of their history.
It's a 10-minute hike to Lincoln's birthplace, but don't get too excited about what you're going to see. Growing up in Bostic, Rick Moore visited Lincoln Hill on a third-grade field trip.
When we got there, it was like we expected to see Abraham Lincoln's home. When we saw, it was a foundation that was in rotting condition.
Today, the house is long gone, and the proof of Lincoln's North Carolina origins awaits modern science.
DNA is going to be the one thing that I think either makes or breaks this story.
Back at the museum, you can add your name to the petition for DNA testing to be done.
If you're from North Carolina, you care a lot, because if that's really where he was born and those are the true circumstances, he's one of us.
Historians will could possibly chew on this for decades, and that's, you know, it's nice being a part of that.
As the day ends, Keith Price dreams of the future.
Well, it will be a national monument, but we've got to plan from between now and then.
If Keith is right, the Bostic Lincoln Center may get crowded. So come now and beat the rush. This is Jeff Klein for North Carolina Weekend.
The Bostic Lincoln Center is at 112 Depot Street in Bostic. Bostic is in Rutherford County, a little north of Forest City. They're open Thursday through Saturday. For more information, give them a call at 828-245-9800 or go online to bosticlincolncenter.com.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.